My first job is I'm going to be your host for the next 45 minutes, but my first job is to introduce Mike Bauer. You take that one.
Hi, Alex.
Hi. Mike is the co-founder of the Startup Factory. The Startup Factory is, and I'm sure you'll tell more about it, but is essentially helping corporates in their journey on innovation. So they run corporate innovation programs, they run accelerators, and of course they work a lot with startups and bring corporates and startups together. So he knows a lot about corporate innovation. I understand you also had a long corporate career before starting the Startup Factory, becoming an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
So I give you the stage.
Thank you very
much. We'll join you later for the
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Are you guys still fit for next presentation? I have the feeling it's getting... Hi, Roger. Are you guys fit? No. Look, that's exactly the problem with corporate innovation, because if I do that at a startup event, and I say, are you guys ready to rock the future? They're all like, I feel it. And now, when I talk to corporates, it's quite slow and quite quiet. So, are you guys ready for next presentation? Yeah. We can do that better. Okay. I start right here, so I'm not going to talk about Swiss Startup Factory or Swiss Startup Group. I'm going to talk about corporate innovation, corporate venturing, and actually the Center for Corporate Venturing Switzerland. That's what I'm going to do. First, a few figures, just to start rocking. I think you all know venturing is a big topic worldwide. Last year, if you take the US and China, I think they're hitting heavy figures. They're going to hit much heavier figures this year. And last year, 20% actually came from corporates. Now, the big question is always, what is corporate venturing? What is venturing? How you mix that? There are a lot of questions about that. If you take Europe, I think there is quite a good development speed, 477% between 2013 and 2018, but we can do much better. I think we just heard that before from the guys in the panel before. Europe can do it, and I'm quite sure they're gonna do it. So if you talk about corporate venturing, what we often see is that a lot of corporates actually are puzzled. Why should they do corporate venturing? What does it mean to do corporate venturing? What is the strategy and what is the goal of corporate venturing for them? And here are just a few topics which we selected, which are also with a big question mark, who is actually in the corporate deciding and designing the strategy of corporate venturing? Is that the chairman? Is that the board? Is it the executive board? Is it some external innovation specialists? Who is deciding on that? And these are topics we discuss in the CCVS in our center, because it's a big topic, but there are actually not so many people who have a long-lasting skill set and history and track record about that in big corporates. So once you have decided about your strategy, the hard topic is coming, because if you have the strategy, and if it only becomes real when you invest, quite a lot of people are scared about that. So everyone has a strategy, everyone is working on corporate venturing, but as soon as they have to invest, at least the CFOs we see, they don't like it too much, because it's a fact and it's a hard investment, and that's not so easy. So the big challenge there, talking about corporate venturing, is once you have the strategy and once you have decided, well, the management actually likes much more short-term deliverables and short-term results than long-term investments. How you deal with that? Big topic. How you deal with that? And then, once you have discussed that, you still have to incorporate corporate venturing in your overall strategy of your overall company. How do you do that? Big question. So once you have integrated that, you realize that the whole corporate venturing topic and working with startups, investing in startups, it's not a corporate DNA. It's for sure not a corporate DNA. One of our very best CEOs we work with always says the big challenge is if you take oil and you take water, you can mix it as long as you want, it's going to separate again. You can also think about that sentence with corporates and startups. So how do you manage that? How do you manage that? That's the reason why 1 year ago we founded the Center for Corporate Venturing Switzerland, because we said corporate venturing and the whole venturing topic in Switzerland is a big, big market. When I compare the Swiss startup days 10 years ago and today, I mean, it's unbelievable what you guys did, and everyone is here. All the different stakeholders are here, and corporate venturing is moving forward very fast. So we said at the end, it's a big platform to share thoughts, to share experiences for corporates who start with corporate venturing, because there are others, like the ones who are members at the CCVS, who do that since a very long time. I think the top example is Swisscom. Roger is here for the panel. I mean, there are not so many big Swiss corporates doing corporate venturing for such a long time and actually have these skills to give these skills and inputs to other corporates. Swiss Startup Factory, Wenger and Wierli and the University of St. Gallen, we founded the CCVS a year ago, and we select very carefully our corporate members. So if corporate people are here and they want to join, please join us, shoot me an email, and we're going to figure out if you guys can join that platform, because at the end, everyone should have the opportunity to exchange and jump in. Now, I show you just a quick video, 2 minutes, about our last event. The last event we did was about mobility with one of our corporate members, Amag, and yeah, let's check it out quickly, what we actually did there and how we exchanged the whole thing. So last but not least, before we start the panel, call to action. Join us as members. Secondly, if you want to join us at our next event, it's going to be a quite small event, 20 to 25 people on the 30th of June, where we will have Müller Ventures presenting what they do. Theo Müller, very big group from Germany, starting heavily to invest in venture. They're going to show how they start. They're going to exchange with the guests and the people joining the event. So please shoot me an email if you want to check that out. And I'm actually looking very much forward to the panel now. Voila. Thank you very much.
Don't come to me saying that I was right all along. If you play with fire.
Can we have sound for Alexander, please?
Do you have me on?
If you play with
No, he's not him.
No, it's not him. It's that back there. Okay. No, anyway, so I use this mic. Could the panelists join us on stage? Please welcome. We have a high-powered panel today, and so please have a seat. No particular order. Please sit down. Then I'll start with the introductions. Please have a seat. I think you also need mics, so I give you. Yeah. So I'd like to start with the introductions. Start here to the right. Andreas, I don't think we need to introduce him specially. CEO of SBB, thank you very much for coming today. Then on the next place we have Blaise Roulet from Salesforce here in Switzerland, but also with wider responsibilities about Switzerland. Roger Wüthrich from Swisscom. Roger, I have to, full disclosure, Roger is also the head of Swisscom Ventures Investment Committee, so he's also related to me. But Roger is the Chief Digital Officer and responsible for a lot of what's going on in innovation in Switzerland. Mike Bauer, we have already heard. And then Mark Holtischer, he's responsible for R&D here in Switzerland and also country lead, right? Exactly. So that's our round here. Now, you know, when talking corporate innovation, it sounds corporate and innovation sounds a bit like an oxymoron, in the sense, you know, you don't expect large organizations to be particularly innovative. And I think this is one of the reasons why we talk so much about it, why there is so much, you know, essentially activity right now in corporate innovation, and you know, why panels as such are of interest, not too huge interest as I see in the audience, but are of interest for many people. Now, I'd like today to scratch a bit on this, on the surface of this. You know, when we talk about corporates innovating, I'd like to understand a bit better what's really happening behind the scenes, you know, beyond the cute use cases with robots and so on. What is actually innovation in corporates? So maybe my first question to Andreas, who is leading the largest organizations here, you know, how do you innovate in a large organization like SBB? Is it enough to just create an innovation department, or what do you have to do to innovate?
Well, I think there are various answers to your question. The way we do it, we create a business development agenda. Go on sbb.ch/business development agenda, and you'll see what our areas of interests are. You'll see what our projects are, what our ambitions are, but not only that, you'll also find the names of the people who are responsible for the areas of innovation, and you can directly link with them. It has become necessary to do that. You know that the Swiss Federal Railways, they are a huge company with various divisions, from real estate to railways to mobility solutions, infrastructure, etc. And it is impossible to steer that process from the very top. The idea behind this business development agenda is really to interlink all the interested parties, to the external as well as the internal, to the people that are responsible for the field of innovation.
Mm-hmm. And at Microsoft, Mark, what is your experience? How do you drive innovation across a global organization, a very large global organization?
Yeah, so it has definitely been a journey. So there is a cartoon about the old Microsoft org structure, and you see the individual departments each pointing a gun at each other. So in the past, there was definitely more internal competition than collaboration, which has, I would say, quite dramatically changed over the last couple of years. So that these isolated, silos have been broken up, that there is also a guarantee that knowledge is being exchanged between the different business departments, engineering, marketing, and so on. And I think it gets very tangible when it comes to the annual performance review. So what are the KPIs against which Microsoft employees are actually measured? And these are three buckets. And the first bucket is, so what have I done to achieve my goals? How did I build on things that other people have achieved? How did I leverage their knowledge and their projects to contribute to the company's goals? And finally, what did I make to make others successful? So it's this deep notion of sharing and empowering the whole ecosystem inside the company, instead of just going after your own individual success and bonus at the end of the day.
And is there an element also of essentially innovation outcome, that you measure what is the result in terms of being innovative because of you work closer together?
So I think you just have a look at the stock price and how it developed over the last couple of years, and where Microsoft is, both from a market share but also from a perception point of view. And I think this has a lot to do with the business model that has fundamentally changed along this journey,
which was in the past sell licenses, say goodbye, come back in 3 years and ask for the renewal of the license, into a mode where we are really dependent on the success of our customers, because only if they are successful, they will consume our services. And this has led to a completely different way of how to look at innovation and also at how to collaborate, for instance, with startups and the broader ecosystem.
Yeah. And let's go to Salesforce. You're a relatively young company, you know, in comparison to some of the other panel members. And young companies are expected to be very innovative. Now, you've grown very fast, you're large. Do you need to focus on innovation, or is that still somehow in your DNA and it just happens?
Well, I think it's a bit more complicated. It just happened, but you are right. I mean, it's in the DNA of the company, and the whole success and the massive growth of Salesforce is coming from, you know, our ability to deliver ongoing innovation. And if you take the origin of Salesforce, 3 main principles, like subscription model. So from day one, we were based on a model where we sell a service with a subscription. So as you mentioned, I mean, we need to make sure that our customers are successful. We came with a new philanthropy model, who's turned to be a very strong culture of enterprise. And then we came with the cloud. And with the cloud is all about the promise of delivering ongoing improvement and ongoing innovation. So I think for us, the innovation and delivering innovation is something we are doing for 20 years. We are doing, you know, on almost a monthly on our product by delivering upgrade and update on our solution. And I think for us, the real challenge is more how are we going to be innovative in order to make sure that our customer can absorb all this technology and all this innovation. And I think on this point, we have also been quite creative, but I think there is still a long way to go. So 20 years ago, almost after a year after the foundation of the company, we created a group called CSG, Customer Success. And this group have, you know, the responsibility to accompany the customer. And I think this is a big innovation as well. Because again, innovation for us is kind of a given. How do we make sure that we support this innovation within our customer? And I think this is what is, you know, waking me up in the evening, during the night. It's not so much, you know, are we going to get the latest innovation at Salesforce, because I see it coming, you know, every single day. It's more how do we accompany our customer here.
Right. And these innovations that you specifically, I mean, the business model, the SaaS business model that you pursue, the customer success organization, those were innovations that came from top down, or was it something that came bottom up more into the organization?
Well, it came out, if we take customer success, it came a lot by listening to the customer. And when you are in from day one from a subscription business, you know, you need to make sure that your customer is happy and getting value out of the services. So I can imagine that at origin, we noticed that it was probably not that easy to keep a customer for life. And actually, that was the origin of the customer success division. The name was Customer for Life. And that was probably pushing us, you know, to develop this division. But this division is now one of the largest at Salesforce. You know, it's, I think, as big as the sales and marketing organization. So it's fundamental for Salesforce to ensure the renewal. I think we are not, you know, in a business which is very much different than the one of Swisscom. I mean, you know, we are selling subscription, we are selling a service, and we need to ensure that our customers are happy and getting value out of the service.
Roger, you want to take up that ball? You know, are Swisscom's customer happy as well?
I think so, because I think, look at the share price. No, I think it's the same for Swisscom. I think you must have a customer to satisfy with your services, and I think that's at the end the success you have on the market. And I think when you don't have competitive products and services, so you have a problem. But I think maybe for Swisscom, for us as an incumbent with a legacy and a long tradition, I think we have many different battlefields. I think maybe you have to develop a culture where you can be innovative, and I think you have to implement some instrument. I think maybe we started maybe 10 years ago with venturing, or 15 years ago with venturing, because as an instrument, and we started 10 years ago with human-centric design. You know, we put the customer in the middle, we have a customer journey, and so on. And I think that's all element you need, that you have an environment where you can be innovative, that you can develop services that satisfy the customer at the end. And I think that's a really crucial challenge for a company who has products they are successful, but on the other hand, you have the market, you are under pressure from the market side, and you have also disruptive trends. And I think for Swisscom, that's especially for the future, that's a main challenge we have to face.
Just to build on that also, I mean, Swisscom and the other corporates as well, you focused on delivering the next quarterly result, you know, the share price. That's for the top management, that's really in the focus. So, you know, how do you keep innovation on the agenda, particularly in Konzernleitung top management level, without, you know, doing innovation in between and then say, okay, but now the bottom line counts. So let's just milk this cow and provide the next quarterly result. How do you manage to continuously keep innovation up in the?
So we decided that we want to have a dual digital transformation or a dual growth strategy. So we have the core business where we have to be competitive. That's also a cost case, that we are really efficient what we do right now, and that we have a high customer satisfaction, that we have a high NPS in the core business, and that we have in the core business the growth strategy where we can grow on our existing products and services, or maybe new products and services in the core business. And then we divided a separate division where we want to have innovative activities for the next decade. This means maybe, for example, fintech based on blockchain, digital assets. That's for us a really interesting field of innovation, because we are the main provider in the BPO services for banking, and we think the next level is digital assets or also cryptocurrencies and so on. And I think that's the way we go for innovation, that we divided it from the core business, because the core business is a short-term business, and also the manager are incentivized of a short term of a year. And I think when you go for a longer perspective for the future, then you must have the freedom to develop products and services where you have time and not in a short term measurement and KPIs.
Does anyone else also have such a sort of division between core business and sort of new initiatives?
I think if the innovation is only the agenda of your company, you are going to get into problem. You should extend this agenda to your partner and to your customer. And if you can bring, with a platform that will allow this larger ecosystem to participate to your innovation, I think that's for me one way, and not only having your own R&D. So if I take the case of Salesforce, we are from day one allowing our partner to develop on our technology, and this has been a big engine of innovation.
Right. Mike, you have experience with a lot of corporates. What do you see as sort of the criterion that corporates apply to justify their innovation projects?
Well, first of all, for us, the last 5 years were a crazy journey working with big corporates. I also have to say, 5 years ago, when we approached big corporates, it was completely another mindset to start venturing than it is today. The doors are open today. The management, they realize that they have to go into these topics and that new technologies and speedboats are out there. On the other hand, I can also tell that on the startup side also it changed heavily. 5 years ago, quite a lot, in our experience, startups were still very scared to work with big dinosaurs because maybe 10 years ago it was a different game. Today, I would say here in Switzerland, there's so much going on, and that's fantastic, you know. I think the next wave will be the small and mid-sized companies because they have a huge need. And actually, I do a big bet to the future that startups who are very well funded, will buy SMEs in the next years because the SMEs, they didn't invest in the future. But with startups, you have the new technologies, you have top founders who want to do sustainable business. So that's a big bet we do. And we're working on these transactions. In Germany already, you see some of these transactions. So I think there is really a lot going on, and it's fantastic. We love it.
Andreas?
I think in addition to what Roger just mentioned, I think there is also a huge potential in the existing business. Let's take infrastructure management, for example. With our, one of the biggest initiatives that we have in Switzerland is Smart Rail 4.0, and with new technologies, we get 30% more capacity out of the existing infrastructure without building new tracks, without building new tunnels. In addition to what you guys said, we should not only focus on additional services, but also use new ventures in order to detect the potential, the huge potential that we have in our existing businesses. You can add the mobility platforms. Most of the services that you can find on the SBB app has not been invented by SBB, but we are happy to collect everything that is on the market. Quite to the contrary, very often as a big corporate, you're limited to test new services. If we test a new service on our mobility app with more than 1 million users every day, and we have the slightest problem, we are for sure in the newspaper like we are every day, but for that particular reason as well.
So does innovation in corporates, that's an open question, you know, does innovation in corporates then more focus on internal sort of efficiency improvements, process improvements, or is it really more external new products?
I think there is definitely both, definitely both. But what I just wanted to I think very often, because everybody thinks of new business models, and you should not forget about the potential that you have in your existing infrastructure. Of course, this is particularly true for a railway, which is extremely asset heavy. Now, if you can use these assets in a much better, in a more efficient way, of course, that's good for the price performance relation that our customers get. But we also sell different services. Like let's take our stations as an example. We offer services to our lenders who get all kinds of information, how they can serve faster and better their customers. Because the faster you serve them, the more they sell, and the more income we get, because we get approximately 5 cents for each franc spent in a station.
Maybe I pick up your statement, Blaise, about innovation, internal innovation. So for us, it's also the customer is in the center. And I think we have 4 points. I think the one point is the right technology. Maybe you have the technology to be efficient, more efficient, or you can define a new platform, whatever. And the second point is the differentiation about the product or a service. And I think that's really important. When you are a product manager, then you have to look what is the differentiation of your product. And the next one is a new service. Maybe you have a new service, like Andreas mentioned, you can try it out with 1 million of customers. So I think it's a collaboration between startups and the corporate. That's a huge opportunity to bring the assets from the startups and the corporates together. Maybe we have the marketing and the customer, and he has a new platform, and you can try it out in a safe environment. And I think the third point is to bring new technologies into a department. And I think it's also the time to market. In a huge organization, you have a problem with the time to market. You don't have the experts. You don't have you have a legacy. And I think in a collaboration between startups and the big corporates, you have the chance to have a faster time to market, to try it out, to iterate, and bring a service to the customer that is really a value add at the end.
That's great. I also want to, I mean, when you talk about corporate innovation, there are basically two approaches also. There's essentially the outside in, that you just, where corporates work with startup and integrate ideas from outside. And then there's the inside out, or what you would call spin-offs, essentially. Corporates creating new businesses, spinning them off, helping them maybe as an independent business unit, maybe as becoming ultimately a startup. So that's something that many of you do. I know, for example, Blaise, Salesforce, you've created a network of six innovation centers globally. You had 4,000 customers in those innovation centers. What are your objectives with these innovation centers?
Well, it's basically places where we can, welcome top management of our customer and pause for some times, usually a day, where our customer can share the challenges, the challenging they are facing, and a lot are related to innovation, technological innovation, and we can during this day give them also our point of view, the point of view of other of our customer in the industry. So it's very much a place to exchange. And not so much, to come top down with a view of a San Francisco-based company. This is the way you have to operate. I think about 50% of the largest Swiss company enjoyed, spending some time with us in our SIC. By the way, not your company. You are invited now. And again, it's not possible to again an American Californian-based company to come and to say to SBB or to anybody else, this is the way you have to operate. So it can only be about sharing and about exchanging and about building together a roadmap. This SIC is just part of a largest initiative, who is also including product advisory board or industry advisory board, where actually I have the pleasure to have a lot of big Swiss company participating, where we can gathering feedback in order to improve the roadmap of our product.
Okay, so that's more the outside in to Salesforce. At Microsoft, you last year contributed 60,000 patents to the Open Innovation Network. The Linux, essentially the Linux open software network. What's in it for Microsoft? Why do you do that? Why are you so generous?
Yeah. So it really goes back to the notion of openness and the realization that if you want to stay current and compete in that global market, innovation cannot just come from within the company, but you have to tap into potentials and platforms that are outside. And that's exactly what it aims at, is to empower ecosystems and other stakeholders to be creative and to be innovative, and then obviously also hope that this will have positive spillover effects to our platform. So what Microsoft realized already a couple of years ago is that this, either you're with me or against me notion doesn't take you very far. We have to make sure that our products are compatible and can be run on different platforms. And the same is true for successful products on other platforms, that they have a good environment also in the Microsoft ecosystem. And if you look today where innovation comes from in the enterprise space, it's mostly from open source. And I think that has to be seen in the context of that broadening of our strategy. As of today, on the Microsoft platform, out of 5 virtual machines, out of 5 computers, 3 run with an open source operating system, which just shows that the balance has completely shifted, which turns out to be the benefit for our customers and for our partners to be and continue to be innovative in that space. Another angle that we took onto this topic is that we are really investing quite a lot in co-selling with startups and co-selling with our partners. So really providing them the platform to build their solutions, but also then to market their solutions on a worldwide basis if they wish to do so. And that has been quite a successful strategy, because it gives you the opportunity to really go through the full life cycle of business development and business planning, and therefore also, or thereby also broaden the market that can be addressed by our products and joint solutions with partners.
Interesting. Roger, maybe a question to you. Swisscom has created several spin-off companies, particularly in the fintech sector, not only, but what's the objective of that for Swisscom?
Yeah, the objective is that we need to be really fast. And in between Swisscom in a line organization, you have the problem that you have a lot of regulations and all this kind of stuff you have in a corporate organization. And I think for us, the most efficient way to have a team is a joint venture. Then you have a management team, you can have an incentive in this management team, you can define the KPIs, and I think that's for us to aim goals in a fast way, the best organizational entity. So for us, JVs and spin-offs, that's the way we work forward.
Okay. Mike, do you see that in other companies, spin-off from corporates? Is that something?
Sure. Would not be good
popular?
if I would not see it. Sure, we see that. Actually, we see a lot of spin-offs. These core partnerships are coming more and more. I think that could be even more powerful in Switzerland, thinking about insurances, for example. They should maybe do the whole insurance topic together. That would be very powerful for Switzerland. The same story in banking, because open banking will anyways come. And I think that's something where we should definitely continue to improve, because there is a lot of power in it and other countries do it already. But I'm very positive on the development,
Okay, great. And maybe to wrap things up, we're almost 4 o'clock. Just a question to each of you on the panel. If you look at today's global startup world, which of the startups in your industry has disrupted your business, most significantly in the last, 5 to 10 years? And would you like to own that startup today? Would you like it to be part of your group? Maybe it is already.
Amazon.
Mark. Amazon.
No, Amazon has absolutely disrupted the software and cloud industry. So unfortunately, they're not really a startup. But no, so seriously, we consider ourselves as a platform company. There is a recent saying by our CEO, Satya Nadella, you don't join Microsoft to be cool, but you join Microsoft to make others cool. And therefore, it's very difficult to pick just one or two startups. It's really about finding the synergies and jointly identify business potentials and then go for it.
Great. Mike?
Yeah, we're not a corporate.
Not a corporate, but...
With the Swiss Startup Group, we are the biggest venture builder, privately financed here in Switzerland, and I think we disrupt the market.
So that's enough.
Cool answer. So I visited 10 years ago, or maybe 12 years ago, in the Silicon Valley, a company. They had 22 employees, and we wanted to have a look on their video conferencing solution. And the company was called WhatsApp. That's my answer.
Yeah. Clear. Blaise,
Well, I think we are probably a bit too young to be disrupted.
Salesforce.com.
So we have been the disruptor for a long time. Now I'm always surprised when I see that I'm carrying a corporate badge, because we have been, 10 years ago we were a startup, and for the last 5 years we develop at a speed of light. So today I think it's more about staying relevant for all the different industry and the different size of businesses. We started as a company who was mainly equipping small and medium business. And now when you talk about Salesforce, everybody believes it's just for big corporation. So I see a threat, not so much in terms of the technology, but in terms of the general public forgetting where Salesforce is coming from, and going and choosing different technology that seems more appealing when you are a small and mid-sized business.
Great. Andreas?
Well, we have not seen so many disruptors until now, but there are several of them knocking at the door on the digital platform, be it on the mobility platforms, combining all kinds of transport means in logistics, but also in mobility. And then, of course, everything that is related to cars, car sharing, self-driving cars, that will come. And in former times, 10 years ago, it was sufficient to think railway. Today, you have to think mobility chain, you have to think logistics chain, but not only on the physical side, but also on the digital side. I think there are many intruders knocking at the door.
Not Flixbus.
Well, I consider Flixbus actually as an additional element in the mobility chain. I mean, if you look at where the strengths of a railway are between Zurich and Bern, you do not have so many alternatives, especially at those times when you want to travel. But I mean, it doesn't make sense, even in Switzerland, it doesn't make sense to build railways into small villages. There you can use buses, one-day self-driving vehicles that are much more comfortable for the customers and cost the customers and the taxpayer, by the way, because we're getting a lot of public funds every year, and much less.
Great. Thank you very much, and a big hand to our panel here.